scene, so you don't have to listen to my beautiful dulcet tones. However, if you want to pause so you can highlight everything I have highlighted and then have a conversation about the different elements, I highly recommend that. Part of the assessment at the end of this play is going to be you analyzing Shakespeare's use of rhetorical devices and literary elements to create the character of Hamlet. So I highly recommend, if you haven't done that already for the other podcast, you go back and do that and have conversations with your peers about that. So with that, I want you to listen, kind of follow along with what the recording is, and feel free to pause at any moment to do the highlighting and then answer the questions at the end.
Speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier had spoke my lines. Nor do not soar the air too much with your hand, thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent, tempest, and as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. Oh, it offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for outdoing Termagant. Out Herod's Herod. Pray you avoid it.
I warrant, your honour.
Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word to the action, with this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so overdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold as 'twere the mirror up to nature, to show virtue her own feature, scorn her own image, the very age and body of the time, his form and pressure. Now this overdone, or come tardy off, though it makes the unskilful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve. The censure of the which one must in your allowance o'erweigh a whole theatre of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play, and heard others praise, and that highly, not to speak it profanely, that neither having the accent of Christians, nor the gait of Christian, pagan, nor no man, have so strutted and bellowed that I have thought some of nature's journeymen had made men, and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably.
I hope.
Okay, take a minute and go back through and find examples of irony in Hamlet's instructions to the players. Specifically, you might want to focus on the characterization of Hamlet and what he's telling the players to do. Pause here before I move on.
Horatio.
Here, sweet lord. At your service.
Horatio, thou art e'en as just a man as e'er my conversation coped with.
Oh, my dear.
Nay, do not think I flatter. For what advancement may I hope from thee that no revenue hast but thy good spirits to feed and clothe thee? Why should the poor be flattered? No, let the candid tongue lick absurd pomp, and crook the pregnant hinges of the knee where thrift may follow fawning. Dost thou hear? Since my dear soul was mistress of her choice, and could of men distinguish, her election hath sealed thee for herself. For thou hast been as one in suffering all that suffers nothing. A man that fortune's buffets and rewards has ta'en with equal thanks. And blessed are those whose blood and judgment are so well commingled that they are not a pipe for fortune's finger to sound what stop she please. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core. Aye, in my heart of heart, as I do thee. Something too much of this. There is a play tonight before the king. One scene of it comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, even with the very comment of thy soul, observe my uncle. If his occulted guilt do not itself unkennel in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imaginations are as foul as Vulcan's stithy. Give him heedful note, for mine eyes will rivet to his face, and after, we will both our judgments join to censure of his seeming.
Well, my lord.
Okay, Hamlet gives this speech to Horatio after he's already made his plan with the players. My question is, what is the purpose of this scene? Why does Shakespeare include this? Specifically, how does this particular speech further develop Hamlet's character? Again, you might want to highlight and talk about the different elements. Pause here before I move on.
And it will discourse most eloquent music. Look you, these are the stops.
But these cannot I command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill.
Why, look you now, how unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass, and there is much music, excellent voice in this little organ, yet cannot you make it speak. Blood, do you think that I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, yet you cannot play upon me. Ah, God bless you, sir.
Okay, in this speech, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern have been trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Hamlet, or at least appear to be trying to figure that out of concern. In his response to this, he uses a particular conceit. What I'd like you to do is to identify what the conceit is and to identify how Shakespeare uses that to develop the mood of the speech and how this particular speech further develops Hamlet's character. Pause here before I move on.
By and by.
I will say so.
By and by is easily said. Leave me, friends. 'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn, and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood, and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on. Soft, now to my mother. O heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. How in my words somever she be shent, to give them seals, never my soul consent.
Once again, we have another soliloquy. I would like you to pay attention to the language. There's a little bit of irony in this particular soliloquy, and what I'd like you to do is identify that. I'm going to give you a hint. It has to deal with his tragic flaw. And I would like you to analyze how Shakespeare develops that irony. What literary elements or rhetorical devices does he use?